Oh, you might have guessed, we're outside. And here I am. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Still pondering what I want to call it, and I'm working at it, but it is my channel. And I'm happy that you're here. One thing, I have a whole bunch of things that are on my mind that get me out of whatever I'm doing in front of the camera. It's not really that I love being in front of the camera, but for some reason I feel more inclined to be in front of the camera and talk to you in this way than to be behind the camera and you just hear my voice. That's, not that there's anything wrong with that, just not my preference. Or that I turn myself into a cartoon character and have a caricature of myself. No, this is me. This is how I present, like it or not. And, I've had my own bouts with all of that, because that's all exterior stuff. Who you are or who I am is not this exterior thing. It's just a way to communicate more easily to others who are also on this particular plane at this particular time, or you might say in this particular here and now. I have been talking about, and I mentioned what we're going to do, what I'm going to be doing, and even today, is I'm going to talk more about wealth vis-a-vis co-op crowd. At first I thought of it in terms of a BYO, build your own wealth system. But now I think I'm going to call it a GYO, grow your own wealth system. You are growing your own organization that is funneling on a regular basis, every 28 days, a small tribute to you. I'm going to call it that, do what you will with it, but it's a small tribute to you. And in part because you, every 28 days, are sending a small tribute to 10 other people who are just like you. Okay? That's the gist of it. The thing is, while you are contributing a small tribute to 10 people who you may or may not know, as you invite, let's back up, as the members that you invite to Co-op Crowd join, and as the members that they invite join, because each of them are bringing in 3, and each of those are bringing in 3, everyone's doing the same thing. And so as they do that, each is going to be giving a small tribute to you. You're going to receive from each of those, whether they know you or not. And it doesn't go infinitely. It doesn't go without end. It has a limit. The limit is only 88,572. Okay? So here's the thing. You're giving to 10. 88,572 when it matures. It's not going to happen instantly. It may not happen for a year. It may happen in 3 months. It'll happen when it happens. But when it happens, that's the end, so to speak. That's the max. That's the maturity when your organization, because each one of those people, if they are within 10 levels, they are sending a small tribute to you. And each of the people that you invited, when theirs matures, they will be getting the same amount to them, etc., etc. And yet, Each organization is like a fingerprint, totally unique. And each organization would be funded every 28 days, because as these members are continuing to do this all around the world, the funds are coming into the system because each is bringing a small amount in. Each new one is bringing a small amount in. But the co-op crowd system, the platform, is managing and tracking all of those tributes as to who gets and when the limits are reached, when the qualifications are reached, and all of that. So that's basically a grow your own system. Yeah, you're building, but growing is more appropriate for this particular model, and this model is unique. I've heard from a number of people who have expressed interest in this, and then they immediately want to look for and find something negative that they can read or hear about the platform or the developer of the system, David Rosen. And upon doing that, oh, this is like something else, or this is something that they have not, this is what they're saying. Could it be this? Could it be that? No one has said they got 3, and our 3 got their 3 all at the same time, and the accruals didn't happen. Because in fact, when you get your first 1, you actually receive. When you get your second, you receive. When you get your third, you receive. When your people that you invite get their first, they receive, and you do too. This on and on and on. So the accruals do occur. And the point basically is, do the members themselves break down? I mean, that's the question right now. When someone does those and their 3 get their 3, it's now passive income. You don't have to work at it anymore. You don't have to be out recruiting. You don't have to be handling product and where the product is getting the bulk of the income, essentially, and you're working off of, well, the product is overpriced now so that people can do it, and you got to work through all of that. None of that's involved. And the other thing basically is this: our society is such that we are in mass. And I say our world society, this is not just this particular area. People are dealing with a chronic lack of sufficient income flow. And the blockchain has basically made it, and I say blockchain, I mean Bitcoin at first, which established the use case for what's called a cryptocurrency. And what's the crypto about? It has some level of autonomy and independence in the sense that it's to the discretion of the person who owns it. And you don't even have that with your existing currencies. You don't, this doesn't exist anymore. People are trying to tell you to buy gold and buy silver and stuff like that. Who's going to carry a bunch of gold around? Who's going to parse some gold out? Okay, I'll give you a few slivers. Who's going to give you do some silver? The people who are telling you to do that, why? Because they're selling it. Nothing wrong with that. But the viability of it, Bitcoin itself began to grow because it was practical for anyone to use. That's why it ballooned. It got up to, well, right now it's only about $20,000 for one, whereas in 2009, 10,000 of them would have gotten you a pizza, okay? So things have changed because more and more people are have used it, and the crypto space has grown tremendously. And yet many people are still sitting on the side. Co-op Crowd does not require you to have a lot of what's called money, so it's not an investment vehicle in that sense of the term. You are more so investing your time, and not even much of that. You're also investing your courage. You're investing your patience, okay? You're also, I'm going to say, exercising, and I will even say strengthening your own confidence. And I say your own, I'm doing it. I'll tell you, I've done a whole bunch of thinking on how to go about doing this, and even if I wanted to, for me to get in front of the camera and be talking about this, especially about quote-unquote wealth. But you know something? The lack of sufficient income flow, the lack of wealth. Being wealthy and being rich are not the same things. To me, being wealthy means you have enough for what you need when you want it. It doesn't matter what it is that you need, but you have enough at that time. That to me is wealthy. If you need a new vehicle, you've got enough to get it. Having good credit means you don't have enough to get it. The credit system and having good credit basically allows you to look like you got it when in truth you don't. If you need to repair your old one, you got enough to get it. If you need a home, you have enough to buy one. Not indenture yourself for 30 or 40 years or 15 years to an institution and pay, 3, 4, or 5 times the market value of the property. If you need various things, you have enough. That sounds wonderful, and the truth of the matter is, it is possible. Now, I told you about being wealthy. Being rich is basically having as much wealth as you might think in the context of having enough, but it not being enough. All right? It's not, a person is not fulfilled in that. It's always a grasp for more and more because there's a fear of losing it or a fear of it being taken away. There's a wall around you from them and you. So there's all this protection and all this other stuff that's surrounded, which is not fun for one thing, but it's also not healthy. When you are in stress, and I'm talking about where you're thinking about this, you're in anxiety, that's one factor that's involved in chronic not have enoughness, okay? But it's also a factor in chronic richness, where you got too much and you're still not fulfilled. It's the same. It looks different from one side to the other. Some people want to have that life, and they can only have that life. The other people, you stay away, whatever's going on with them. But ultimately, there's no peace within inside. There's no real, truly sense of security. We start thinking that the stuff is more important than our relationships, not only with each other, but our relationships with ourselves. So I had an opportunity to make this really or fairly short. I may have blown it, I don't know. But I'm going to ask you to consider joining Co-op Crowd. Join with my invitation link. And yet if another Co-op Crowd member sent you theirs, sent this video for you to watch, and has one, they're a member, go to them, get in, start. Let's start a movement. Let's grow a movement by each growing our own and helping each other to grow their own. This is one place where in helping each other grow and in helping each other build, this doesn't diminish anything else you're already doing. Like I said, most people are thinking either or, but I suggest this is a both and. If you're doing something that's actually working for you, keep at it. But Co-op Crowd has no true there's no clone of it. There's nothing like it that produces what it does. Even the developer who has produced a co-op 50/50, which I don't know much about, but apparently it works very nicely too, and there are people that are in it and they love it. But Co-op Crowd functions in a different way. It has different deliverables. And like I said, the entry point is accessible to anyone, and what it asks you to do, which is simply make some connections with others who have the same needs that you do. It's up to them to do the same thing, but it's truly your responsibility to get that done. And if you can do it, if you do it in a relatively quick time frame, and they do too, your fundamental work is done. So that's my question, that's my invitation, I'll say. And I have more thoughts about wealth because this platform, because of what I've seen, is actually possible to do in terms of how it works. You start thinking about the possibilities of what you can do in your communities or what communities can do together. And that is amazing. And I'm inviting people to think about that, even if you suspend disbelief, that how can it be that you could put $100 or $400 in to this system and do those two simple things, and the maturing, the growing will occur on its own as more people see. No one pushing me to do this. It's coming from something inside me, and if that's happening with you, you're going to get out and do this, and your friends are going to go out and do this because they want this for themselves. Therefore, your bag, as they call it, is going to grow. And again, there is a cap. So you could literally put $400 in, invite your three, help your three get their three too, know that they're all connected, and then you're going to watch your donations, your tributes come in. And when their three get their three, they're going to do the same thing. But the limit, the cap, when you got 88,572 addresses that are all pointing to your wallet, the people that you invite, when theirs mature, they get 88,572 pointing to theirs. But we're talking every 28 days after maturity, somewhere around $9 million every 28 days, which you have 100% discretion in terms of how you use it. What can you do? You know, if you had only 9,000 coming in every 28 days for having put $400 in one time, would you be happy? So this is the context that encourages me to come out and just present this and practice at getting better and better at presenting this, because at some point you'll say, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. Just give it a shot. But if you give it the shot, if you put the funds in, before you put the funds in, be certain within yourself that you're going to actually do this, because you're not doing it for me. You're totally doing it for yourself. I'm here to help you succeed, yes, at doing that. So with that, I think I'll be done. This may be shorter than, I know it's shorter than some I've done, but I've got some other things to talk about and share. But let's grow our own wealth. Grow your own wealth. Let's be wealthy. And there's just no other way that you can do this. This is grow your own wealth for people on a budget. It's what Co-op Crowd is. Let's get started. Thank you so much. Until next time, peace. Be well. Be wealthy. And I love you all.